You know how important follow-up is when it comes to sales. This is how you do it when it comes to recruiting. That's what we're going to be talking about today on Brokerpreneur Podcast. Running a brokerage is hard work. So whether you're focused on building your own sales pipeline, hiring the best agents, leveling up your team's production, or protecting culture you've built, you're in the right place. Real estate brings the challenges, and we share the solution. Welcome to the show dedicated to broker entrepreneurs. Welcome to the Brokerpreneur Podcast. Hey guys, this is Dr. Ben with Dr. Ben's show. This is Dr. Ben with Dr. Ben's show. I am not cutting that out because that's kind of how I want it to be.
Okay, well, I'll go now. We can take care of that right now.
See you, Matt. It's going to be a very short episode. This is Dr. Ben with Brokerpreneur Podcast. Welcome to another show. I'm the Doctor of Flow. I'm here with big guy Matt Vi, as usual. What's up, Matt?
Man, just living the dream. Excited about it. Excited about this topic. I love this topic.
Yeah, absolutely. How can you not love talking about follow up if you're trying to grow a brokerage?
Absolutely.
Right. That's like
it's crucial.
That's one of the top 70 keys of growing a brokerage. So Matt, tell us specifically what we're going to talk about.
Yeah. So I think brokers know already how important follow up is. Even if they're not selling, they still know and have conversations with their agents about the importance of follow up and follow through. That's two completely different things. But are they doing that in their recruiting? We find a lot of time they're not, and it's not because they don't know the importance of it. It's not because they don't believe in it. It's because they get distracted and they don't have a way of systematically doing it.
Yep, I like that. Well, guys, we got a lot of ways to systematically help you recruiting, and one of those is absolutely free, and it's down in the description below. Click the link for the free recruiting bundle. Gosh, I don't know. There's 5 or 6 amazing different things in there to help you grow your brokerage, and it's absolutely free. We would absolutely love for you to take advantage of that as a thank you for listening to the show. So, Matt.
Yep.
You can follow up. I don't want to call it old school, right? You can follow up traditionally. That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
You can follow up in a contemporary way, right? Because there's a lot of automated things that are going. There's a lot of kind of headbutting sometimes about, I only like following up myself one-on-one because then it sounds like me. Mm-hmm. There's also some people who are like, well, I don't need it to sound like me. It's all a numbers game. I want to follow up with the same message to 5,000 people today. I'm going to click this button. Right? Talk to me a little bit about basically that philosophy, and because I just think that'd be an interesting topic for everybody to hear your perspective on that.
Yeah, they're both right.
Yes.
Whoever you are, that's how you need to do what you need to do.
I thought you would say that.
Yeah. Because you're going to be consistent with it. That's the key, right? So it doesn't matter whether you want to follow up a whole bunch in an automated way. It doesn't matter whether you want AI to follow up. It doesn't matter whether you think you're the only person that needs to do the follow up. The key is, what is it that will allow you to do it consistently? That's what's going to give you the results. They don't say the fortune's in the follow up for no reason, right? Yeah. So. So we talk about this all the time. There's a difference between follow-up and follow-through, okay? Mm-hmm. Follow-up is typically, so we think vocabulary is extremely important in everything that we do. This is how we define follow-up versus follow-through at Brokerpreneur. So follow-up is you going back to something and reconnecting with someone to ensure that they receive the value that you offered, or that they're getting the value that you think that they should be getting based on conversations you've had. Follow through is delivering on a promise you made. Yep. So if you said you were going to do something, going back and making sure that you were going to do that. Okay. So from an agent standpoint, follow up would be people came into an open house, and the next day you just reach out to them to see whether or not they're interested in seeing the house again, or whether they're seeing other houses like that. That would be follow up. Yeah. Follow through would be the person comes into the open house and they're contemplating actually selling their property, and you told them at the open house that you were going to get them some comps to see what their property is actually worth. Follow through would be going back and having that conversation with them. Yeah. There's a reason why, and we're not going to dig into it right now. There's a reason why there's a distinction between the two, and it has a lot to do with the level of relationship that you have. We've discussed that in other podcasts. The level of relationship you're trying to accomplish, and how you're trying to accomplish based on that, on your follow up or follow through. We're not gonna get into that. That's not really what we're talking about in this particular podcast. Okay. So here's what we have to make sure that we take a look at. Do you want it automated, or do you want it to be you? And then once you've decided that, or should it be a combination of both? That's what I honestly believe, is it should absolutely be a combination of both of those, based on whether it's follow up or follow through. Once you figure that out, then you have to figure out how you stay on track with that. And so here's where I think that most people struggle. And I say this because it's where I struggled. Mm-hmm. And this is also where we see a lot of people struggle. Okay. So when I was trying to learn how to recruit and be effective with recruiting, I was getting bombarded from a lot of different directions and from a bunch of different people saying, this is how you should recruit. And what I struggled to figure out was, I knew that they were right. If I just completely bought into their process and their way of doing it, then yes, I would have some measure of success. But if it wasn't exactly how I felt like I would talk to a person, or if it wasn't how I had, how much time I had to be able to spend on things, or if it wasn't the script that I thought I would use, I would get distracted and start trying to fix those minor steps in order to let me have those major steps more often. And so that combination between genuinely me on the follow-up and what automation happens, that is where, not having that clearly defined, that's where the breakdown was for me personally in learning how to recruit. And honestly, that is really the foundation of why Brokerpreneur is here, right? Yeah. Is because I know that I'm not the only one that was going through that, because I literally looked around rooms and talked to people constantly that's what they were struggling with. And some rooms of people were just like, hey, it's just about the numbers. Yeah. Just hit more numbers. Some rooms of people, it was like, no, you need to have more conversations with them. And it's difficult when you're in a room and everybody's saying it's about the numbers, or did you make all of your phone calls? And then 2 weeks later, you're sitting in a Ninja installation and everybody's saying it's about developing the relationship, right? So there's a conflict between those, yes. Right? And so what you have to do is you have to find out where you are in that situation. You have to figure out what level you want to be at and then what level of contact and what type of contact and how authentic you want that contact to be. Once you figure that out, you have to lay that out into a system that helps monitor you staying on track with that. Yeah. That's really what has to happen with your follow-up and your follow-through. Yeah. A lot of the follow-through, when someone asks for something, in my opinion, the follow-through should be a lot automated, and then you verifying someone received it. Okay, that's how we believe that it should be done, and we have a lot of success with our brokers from doing it. Oh, you know it, right? And they're always surprised when they get something out of the blue and somebody saying, "Hey, this is whatever," and they're like, "Holy crap, what do I say now?" Right? I didn't expect for that to happen, right? And that's because we're mixing those two things at a level that is comfortable for them, so it's easy for them to stay consistent with it.
Yeah, we talk a lot on the podcast about scaling. Right. Obviously, that's the whole purpose of recruiting, and obviously retaining the agents that you have. I think some of the conflict, that I heard from what you were talking about, the same way where you're saying, like, everybody, you're in a room and it's like everybody's saying make numbers, and then you're in a room and it's like, no, everybody's build a relationship. I think there's some conflict when someone starts their brokerage and they say, I want to get to this level. Mm-hmm. And especially when they choose a very large number, sometimes they'll just choose that number maybe just out of the blue. Sometimes they'll choose that number because it's like, whoa, I want to really live this like particular lifestyle. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, if I say, like, I know me personally, if I said, gosh, I want to have 1,000 agents, well, that's cool. Well, I also, because you know me, I want to know, like, the name of all 1,000 of those agents, and I want to know what their kids do for fun, and I want to know these, all these different things about them if they're going to be part of my brokerage. Yeah, that makes it difficult for me to say, like, okay, well, if I'm going to hit those numbers, I almost have to look at it like a numbers game. If I'm trying to build, 1,000, 2,000 agent brokerage. But at the same time, it's a conflict with me, because it's like, well, I want the relationship with those people as well. So how can a person, especially if they're a relationship person like I am, how can a person scale to that large level if they feel like that's the numbers game, just making the calls or whatever, is not suitable to them.
Yeah, everybody needs to just look at where they are in the podcast right now and see what the timer is on this, because you're going to need to come back to this and listen to this a couple of times. Your capacity and scale have to match your model.
Mm-hmm.
Your capacity and scale have to match your model.
Okay.
Capacity means how much can you handle, how much can your infrastructure handle, how much can the resources you have to dedicate, how much can that handle, okay?
Yeah.
That has to match scale. How much scale do you want?
Yeah.
How big do you want your brokerage to be? Do you have the capacity to honestly allow it to scale to the size that you want? Because we've talked to people that have said they want 1,000 agents,
mm-hmm.
and they're not willing to work on the weekends.
Right. Exactly.
Wrong.
Yep.
You're freaking wrong.
Yeah.
Right? You've talked to somebody before that said, I want to be by 500 agents by the end of the week, and then they told you they didn't have enough time to go to a mastermind.
Yeah.
What the shit?
Yeah.
You can't be at 90 agents and say that you want to be at 500 by the end of whatever, but you can't find time in your schedule for a mastermind that'll help you get there?
Yeah.
No. That's bullcrap. That's
Yeah.
your scale not matching your capacity. Okay?
Yeah.
Then it has to match your model. Okay, so if you have a model that allows you to be able to offer a level of service that your capacity and scale match, and you can grow to that size without having to offer certain supports and services that help you give to people what you said you were going to when you were recruiting them, then you're going to be able to retain them, and you're going to be able to scale to that size. Mm-hmm. A perfect example is you can't be in recruiting telling everybody that you want them all to have their own office and their own assistant, but your model only takes $4 per transaction. Right? I mean, you got to have 10 million agents. You got to have all the agents.
Yeah,
1.4
exactly.
million in order
Yeah.
for that to work.
Yeah.
Right? So your scale and your capacity has to match your model.
Okay.
If those things do not match, it doesn't matter what type of automation and follow-up you put in play. It doesn't matter how authentic you are. If those things are not congruent, if they do not match, you are not going to accomplish it. I can't tell you how much we see this.
Oh yeah, you know it.
So I looked yesterday. This is just a super funny story. So, I looked yesterday at a company that, we talked to probably a year and a half ago, something
Yeah.
like that. Okay. And they have on their website how many agents are active in their company.
Yes.
Okay. When we talked, I said, hey, here's the things that you're going to have to do. Your management team's going to have to do this. They're going to have to handle this way and everything. Okay. They're down by 33% at this point.
Yeah.
Compared to whenever we talked to them then.
Yeah.
And whenever we talked to him then, I said, here is what is going to have to happen, or you're going to start losing agents at an accelerated pace.
Yeah.
Okay. So you would have thought it was a crystal ball, because that is exactly what the hell has happened.
Yeah.
And it wasn't that I had a crystal ball. It was that their scale and their capacity of their team did not match their model.
Yeah.
And I talked to them about it, and I explained to them that was the case. And I said this is what was going to happen. And they wanted to use their discipline and their grit and their grind to get past the things that they're just not possibly going to get past.
Yeah.
You don't have that much grit. You don't have that much hustle. You don't have that much grind.
Yeah.
You get exhausted, which is exactly
do
what
it for a
happened to
little
his
bit.
team. That's right. That's what happens to his team.
Yeah.
And so they got wore out, and some of them left, and this person did that, and the other person's not doing this anymore. And the next thing you know, this person isn't, right? All of that fell apart because they were trying to hold together with grit and hustle and get out there and get it done and make your numbers and do whatever. They were trying to get it all accomplished by that, when the truth was their scale, their capacity, and their model simply didn't match.
Yeah. So what I'm going to do really quick is I'm going to ask you to define each of those: scale, capacity, and model.
Let's do it in a different podcast, because I don't think we can do it justice.
You can't what if everybody's listening? Like, man, I want to know if my scale, my capacity, my model's matching, but I don't really know exactly. Give me like Cliff's notes.
Yeah, I'll give you a very simple.
That's all I'm
version
asking
of it.
for. Yeah,
Okay.
we can do a deep dive in another episode. But
Yeah, capacity is how much you and your team can handle.
Perfect.
Okay. Scale is how big, how much size is available for you to have. Okay. So in your market, if there's a market of 700 agents, don't tell me you want to hire 500 agents.
Yeah.
Okay.
Perfect.
So that's scale. How much is actually available? How much can you handle as capacity? How much is there available is scale? And then model is, of course, how you're structured with everything from support and commission.
Yep. Perfect. So
Cool.
I love that, Matt. That brings me
cool.
to another topic that isn't on our show notes, but that's just where I want to take the
here we go.
podcast. And so follow up versus follow through. I love
Right.
that.
Yep.
I love the your scale and your capacity and your model must match.
Right.
You mentioned specifically when you were talking through that, you're talking about your model being like, it can't be $4 transaction, that kind of thing. You were
Right.
talking in your scale. You said, if you have 700 agents, don't tell me you want to be 500 agents, that kind of thing.
Right.
So for my numbers lovers out there,
Right.
there's some things that you need to pay attention to, because we're talking about follow up.
Mm-hmm.
In your follow up, to either number one, show that your follow up's working,
Right.
or number two, that you're doing enough
Right.
to meet the scale that you, or the capacity, or the whatever you want to call it,
Right.
that you're trying to get to. Talk to me a little bit about those metrics, and if you want to, like, for those people who aren't numbers people, if you want to call it like something else.
Well,
like gummy bears or something.
All right. So Ben, I'm going to blow your mind, right? So
Okay.
you know, in my head, this is all just a big web of everything that connects,
I
right?
do.
To me, it's just super simple, and it's just like,
I'm the spider.
right. All right. So here we go.
I'm trying to travel across these webs,
Right.
guys.
Okay. So scale, capacity, and model directly equates to our 552 system.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So 552 for us is 5 cold, 5 warm, and 2 handwritten notes.
Yep.
Okay. Is how we look at it. And what we mean by that is, if you want to hire 50 people this year, okay, in the next 12 months, then weekly you have to be adding 50 people, because that's how many you want to hire, to your system, until you get to a point of having so many warm people. Now, warm people is the people that you're doing follow up and follow through with.
Yes.
Okay, so those things are all interconnected. And then the 2 is on 50, because so 10 times 5 is 50, because it's a 552.
50, 50, 20.
Right. 50, 50, 20. That's exactly right. So that means on a weekly basis, you would be reaching out with 20 handwritten notes, basically. Yes. Okay. And so I'm a big advocate of handwritten notes. Maybe you have some other way of doing that, that you're making those personal contacts. Some people, they call it pop buys, or they're meeting face to face with people, or whatever the deal is. We're not going to get into that. But that's about your model. What is your culture? If your culture is to be numbers based, then that 2 or that 20 needs to be a numbers based way of following up and following through. Mm-hmm. Okay? That 50 and that 50, the first 5, 5, 2, right? That 50 and that 50 is really about how much scale is available in your market.
Yep.
Okay. Then the second one is, how much capacity do you have? How many people can you stay warm with? Because the cool thing about the 552 is, you're not going to do that throughout the entire year.
Right.
If you're adding 50 people every week that are cold people to whatever system it is that you're doing, and then as they start to respond, you're reaching out to them and you're doing follow-up and all that kind of stuff, it's not going to be long before you have 75 or 100 people that you're having very real conversations with. Yep. It's not going to take 52 weeks of adding 50 people.
Right.
So you're going to be, the how it comes out with us is, you got about 2.5 months in, and at that point you're like, okay, wait a minute, I've got more than I can handle. I've got a lot of people, so we scale back. Capacity, that's right. Yeah. So we scale back at that point on that initial influx of people, because we don't have that capacity, which is that warm group.
Yep.
You follow me?
I do. I follow you.
Okay.
I'm following up and following through and
right. I got
you.
There we go. So what this means is, if you're going through this and you're like, okay, I think I kind of see where this is connected, and I'm not positive and all that kind of stuff, or you think that this is something that will work, please come to a Not So Secret Society and bring this up. Okay. Yeah. And we'll go through it more and at that point in there. Just like always, I don't want to deep dive on something that's a topic whenever we're talking about as many things as we are, okay? But the scale, the capacity, and the model are directly related to the 552.
Yep.
Okay?
Yeah, I love that. And honestly, we're coming up on, kind of toward the end of our podcast as well. I want to leave everybody on that thought of scale, capacity, model. Write those 3 words down wherever you are. And, well, I mean, if you're driving, don't write them down. whenever you get to where your stopping point, write those three words down and say, what does my market look like from a scale standpoint? What does my brokerage look like from a capacity standpoint? The model that I'm in, is it, with those two things matching?
What's my culture dictate?
Exactly. The model that I'm in, do all of these things line up to the lifestyle that I want to live?
Absolutely.
Moving forward, or provide for those your loved ones. So,
because if you say you want 50 more people this year, and as soon as I said you need to be adding 50 people a week, you're like, well, there's not that many in my market, or no, that's I don't have time for that, or whatever the deal. Then stop beating yourself up about hiring 50 people.
Yeah. Stop
beating yourself up about it. That's not going to happen.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Yeah, you need to know these. You need to know these things, and I'm gonna put that in the title of this one if you guys want to come back and listen to this one for forever, over and over, because that's just so important. Well, Matt, you mentioned Brokerpreneur Not So Secret Society just a second ago. We would love to get your all's thoughts on these three items in person, live with Matt and I. It is a lot of fun. There's nothing awkward about it.
Yeah.
Right.
And sometimes you come in and there's 3 or 4 brokers, and sometimes you come in and it's a full screen of 25 brokers.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly.
So
it's just a lot of fun. We have a great time. You learn so much
and can contribute.
Yeah, exactly.
Such a big deal.
Contribute so much. So we would love to see you there, see your faces, and just meet those people who are out there listening to our podcast. That being said, Matt, we do that as well as the way you do that. Go to the links in the description below and register for Not So Secret Society. I'm like, hey, we'd love for you to do this. I'm not going to tell you how.
That's right.
It's down in the links below. Register for that. You'll get an email every Friday morning with a Zoom link letting you know, hey, this is the time. This is when this is how you log in. That kind of stuff. It is just crazy. We make it as simple as we possibly can. Matt, for one reason and one reason alone, tell them what it is.
Man, we just want to be part of your win.